Welcome to The Explainer. We're all about taking big, complex ideas and breaking them down into presentations you can really get your head around. All right, let's just jump right into this. Imagine a world where, poof, every single person is gone. What happens next? We're going to walk through the timeline of what the world would look like starting from the very first few moments after we disappear. So, in those initial hours and days, all the automated systems that pretty much run our entire world, they start to fail. And the consequences? Well, they cascade in a big way. Our infrastructure unravels with, honestly, shocking speed. Just 2 days in, the pumps keeping New York's subways dry, they fail. The entire system just turns into this massive network of underwater tunnels. By day 3, it's a different kind of tragedy for our pets and zoo animals. But really, these are just the opening acts for a much, much bigger crisis. Okay, so get this. 1 week in, the backup generators for all 450 or so nuclear reactors on the planet run out of gas. Without coolant, they start to melt down. We're talking huge plumes of radioactive particles being unleashed across the entire globe. This one event alone releases way more radiation than Hiroshima, poisoning huge parts of the planet for centuries to come. So as our world goes dark, a brand new one starts to dawn. You've got nature's pioneers staging this quiet but totally relentless invasion. Within just a few weeks, the first signs of nature's comeback start to appear. And it starts small, Moisture collects on walls, creating the perfect little home for moss. Wind and birds start scattering seeds into every single crack. Microbes get to work breaking everything down, and in as little as a week, you've got these fast-growing weeds just carpeting everything in a fresh layer of green. This whole process really hinges on what's called a microhabitat. Think about it. Every water-filled crack in the sidewalk, every pile of leaves, it becomes its own tiny little ecosystem. It's like a cradle for new life. And these little pockets, that's where the huge reclamation project really kicks off, setting the stage for bigger and bigger plans to take hold. For the animal kingdom, things get dramatic and, frankly, pretty brutal. Most farm animals, a lot of specialized pet breeds, they were bred to depend on us, so they just can't survive. But the more resilient species, they flourish. Feral cats and rats absolutely thrive in our empty cities. And over time, bigger predators like wolves start moving back in, hunting the survivors and slowly rebuilding a natural food chain that hasn't existed in centuries. This initial return of life, it doesn't stay small for long. It quickly escalates from simple weeds into this full-scale, aggressive takeover by these incredibly powerful, structure-destroying plants. You can almost think of certain vining plants as nature's own demolition crew. Each one has a specialty. English ivy, it traps moisture, rotting walls from the outside. Wisteria gets so heavy it can literally pull down fences and split beams. And then there's the infamous kudzu. Kudzu absolutely earned its nickname, the vine that ate the South. I mean, it can grow up to a foot a day. It doesn't just climb over buildings, it completely smothers them. We're talking burying entire houses under this thick green blanket that blocks out every last bit of sunlight. So yeah, this relentless green assault is really the next critical stage. In just a couple of years, our proudest buildings are just turned into these green mounds. And this isn't just about looks. That trapped moisture speeds up all the rot and corrosion, and it starts the process of collapse from the outside in. That initial takeover, it gives way to a process that takes decades, where the very bones of our civilization finally start to break. So how exactly do our strongest buildings finally fall? Well, it's this relentless cycle. First, water gets in, right? It erodes mortar, rusts steel. Then, in colder places, that water freezes, expands, and widens every crack. It's called the freeze-thaw cycle, and it basically pries buildings apart winter after winter. After that, tree roots get in there, acting like powerful levers. And eventually, after all that abuse, the weakened structure just gives way. Where a city is located pretty much dictates its fate. In a dry desert, say, like Las Vegas, buildings could stand as recognizable ruins for thousands of years. But in a humid jungle, a city like Mumbai would be completely swallowed by vegetation in just a few hundred years, almost no trace left behind. Over these first few centuries, the iconic engineering feats that defined our world just vanish one by one. After 20 years, the Panama Canal silts up, creating a land bridge between the Americas again. By 50 years, a lot of our glass and steel skyscrapers have just crumbled. And within 300 years, the steel cables on bridges like the Golden Gate Bridge have rusted through, sending them crashing into the water.
And here is the point of no return. After 5 centuries, the places where most of us lived our day-to-day lives, our suburban neighborhoods, they're gone. You wouldn't even be able to tell they were there. They're just part of the wilderness, buried under a mature forest. The only hint that we ever existed would be the odd piece of stainless steel or some plastic.
All right, so let's look at the really, really long term. This is where the planet not only recovers, but basically erases almost every single trace of our existence. Long after our cities have literally turned to dust, our invisible impact, our atmospheric footprint, is still there. It'll take a staggering 100,000 years for the planet's natural cycles to absorb all the extra carbon dioxide we pumped into the air and finally get back to the way things were. So what's left of us? What actually survives? Well, only a select few things. Bronze statues, pottery, they'll last for millennia. Future geologists will find a thin layer of microplastics in the fossil record, right next to some radioactive isotopes. But our most durable legacies? They won't even be on this planet. Earth will heal. Life will evolve in ways we can't even imagine. I mean, the faces on Mount Rushmore might last for 10 million years, but even they will eventually wear away. But our radio broadcasts and the Voyager space probes we launched into the void, they'll just keep on going, traveling through the cosmos. They will outlast the Earth itself, which is set to be swallowed by the sun in about 7.5 billion years. So, in the end, our legacy isn't just written in the things we build, it's written in the echoes we leave behind for the rest of the universe to find. It's a pretty wild thought, right? That while our time here might just be a flash, our impact and our story will travel on forever.